channel as I continue on with my series of Rocky reviews with Rashad from Rashad G Reviews. It's been a couple of months since the last review, but we're back, ready to finish out the original series before we jump right into Creed, and this is the film that initially ended everything. So one of the most important things to me was the question on how they decided to end the story, because even though I saw this film when it first came out, I couldn't quite remember pretty much anything. Time to find out, so let's get cracking with Rocky VI, otherwise known as Rocky Balboa. In the sixth installment of the long-running Rocky saga, Rocky is much older now, operating his late wife's restaurant and trying to make amends with his son Robert, when the latest heavyweight champion of the world hears about a computer-generated result that suggests that he would lose against Rocky Balboa. He challenges the old geezer to an exhibition match, and feeling inadequate, Rocky ultimately agrees. We shall be hearing what Rashad had to say about this film in just a hot second. But first, here's a few things about the film that I consider to be a positive. First of all, as a final film concluding everything that we've seen up to this point, I think that it works pretty darn well. You almost never see sequels to sports dramas, but this had several. And yeah, they often played a similar tune, so you kind of have to wonder how they'll all tie everything up in a neat little bow. But this did a pretty good job. It can be overly sad sometimes, which granted feels a little bit more like you're ending things on a bittersweet or poor note, but like previous Rocky films, there is a natural progression of events that start low and start to build as, honestly, Rashad, you'll disagree with me on this one, but it is an underdog story again. It's about an old guy that literally has all the odds set against him, and he still stands against those odds to prove that sometimes it's less about age and skill and more about heart. There's so much heart in this film, pouring out through all the dialogue in the script, which is constantly some of the best that I've heard the entire saga. I remember a lot of what was said in the film, more than any of the other films. Also, again, Rashad, you're gonna be disagreeing with me, but Stallone is Rocky. He jumped right back into the character again, at least for me. That dumb Italian guy that can't read too good, you know? He's like a perfect example of Superman putting on his glasses. When he puts on that hat, he is Rocky. It should also be noted that 30 years from the first film, things have gotten good in terms of cinematography and the musical score, which I fully believe Bill Conti outdid himself on the score, taking a lot of the various themes in the series up to this point and combining them into kind of an ultra score that sounds like a modern score, and yet still manages to reflect that feeling Rocky's known for all the same. I do have one or two major negatives about this film, but first I'll let Rashad tell you what he thought about it. So take it away, Rashad.
Hey yo, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how what it is done. Rocky Balboa, the last of the Rocky series, and Dave, this has been a good time going back and reviewing these movies. At the time when Rocky Balboa came out, it was a big deal to me because I haven't seen Rocky on the big screen since 1990. It's my favorite franchise, so I was more than happy to go back and see the Italian Stallion once again. And the first viewing of Rocky Balboa, I loved it. I really loved it. Sly is my favorite actor. But after repeated viewings, especially when I watch it with the other ones, to me, I don't know, this may be a hot take, but to me, it doesn't hold up. Even to part 5, all right? Now, hold up, but before you crucify me, okay? I'm dodging the tomatoes right now. Before you come after me, yes, Balboa is a better movie than Rocky 5. But it's just something about 5 that just still had that Rocky magic. Maybe it's because he was younger too, because by Balboa, he was old, he was a broken man, Adrian's dead. Like, Balboa almost felt like hopeless, you know what I'm saying? And the theme about Rocky is hope, the underdog, coming back out on, on top again. And even though 5 changed nothing, because 5, he still was in the hood, he never escaped the hood after 5, but still, I don't know, man, just something about 5 just had that Rocky magic. I can't really explain it. Like I said, Adrian's dead, Paulie's a drunk, he loses his job, Rocky's alone, he has nobody, his son don't even want to fuck with him, and then, I guess the so-called antagonist, Mason the Lion Dixon, who is probably the worst Rocky villain of all time, but he's played by real-life light heavyweight champion Antonio Tarver, who in real life is a bad MFer, but in this movie. His acting is just so good. I mean, I don't expect no thespian performance, man, but even Mr. T is no Al Pacino, and Mr. T was very memorable as, not Thunder Lips, that's Hogan, as Clubber Lang. Mason the Lion Dixon is very forgettable. When they had the fight, for once, not for once did you believe that Rocky has a chance against this guy, because even though he's not a chiseled up, muscled monster, I'm talking about Antonio Tarver, like the other Rocky villains, but you could just see a real boxer against Stallone. It's not realistic. There's no way a guy that can hardly bend his elbows. If you notice how Stallone's swinging his arms, he's got that old man swing where he can't like fully extend his arm. He's hitting like this, like, and he's still able to hit this guy. No. But okay, it sounds like I'm shitting on this movie, but I'm not. I'm just saying, as far as the Rocky movies go, this is the one that I go to the least because, you know, the first Rocky is an inspiring underdog story. You just want to just get up and drink some eggs and run 10 miles and just take on the world. Rocky 2 is about overcoming the obstacles of poverty and rising back up, man, and finally winning the championship and that heartfelt moment between Rocky and Adrian, even though they wasn't there with each other. Rocky 3, having the championship, losing it, gaining his manhood back, and then you got Mr. T and Hulk Hogan, a very fun movie. Rocky 4, a fucking live action cartoon with a cartoon villain in Ivan Drago, but still extremely fun to watch. And 5 is what it is, but still 5 for some reason is a good time. I guess it's a guilty pleasure. So Rocky Balboa just doesn't kind of fit with the rest of those movies. It goes back to form. It goes back to the original formula of the first 2 movies, but I don't know, man. Like I dug it, so don't give me that he didn't dig it face. I did dig Rocky Balboa, but compared to the other ones, to me, it's almost like Rocky Balboa is the Godfather 3 of this series, man. And that might be a hot take because I know critically this movie was praised, you know, and at the time, nobody wanted to make this movie. So in real life, this is a triumph for Stallone because nobody wanted to make this movie. They said he was too old and all that stuff. And so it was a real life Rocky story, even making Balboa. But just the film itself, I felt like crying. I felt like giving the man a hug. I felt like, you know, drinking my sorrows away. And just like Rocky Balboa, just like at the end, you felt just really bad for the guy. And you just like, you wanted to watch Disney or something to build your spirits back up because you just felt so bad after watching it. That's all I can say. But yeah, man, Rocky Balboa, I will give a B+ to. I give it a higher grade. You know, it's funny. I'll give this a higher grade than Rocky 5. But I could watch Rocky 5 over this one. Rashad, you don't know nothing about movies. I probably don't. I'm just telling you honestly how I feel, goddammit. Not what I'm supposed to say, but what I really feel. That's it and that's all. Dave, thank you for having me on to talk about Rocky. Sorry it took so long, bro. But we got the Creed films now to cover. I'm excited for those. And floor's back yours, man. What you got?
Thank you to Rashad once again for joining me on my channel. Always a pleasure. Make sure that you guys head over to his channel. A link to that should be found in my description box below. Definitely a quality guy. Always love hearing the way that he talks about film and his no-nonsense way about pretty much everything that he says. Always gives me a chuckle. I love that you called this the Godfather 3 of Rocky films because if you can recall, I had a hot take with that one and I considered that to be, for the most part, a redeeming film in that saga because I don't really like Godfather movies and Godfather 3 was a little bit redeeming. I don't think that this is as redeeming of a film, but after 3 and 4 gave me a sour taste with the character of Rocky basically being nowhere to be seen for me. I loved that this was even closer to Rocky 1 and 2 than 5 ever was. That's good. Very good. But it did have some issues. Primarily, the girl in the film that replaces the function that Adrian typically serves. No, not a love interest. Rather, voice of reason. The angel on Rocky's shoulder, so to speak. My problem is that it's a completely random girl. Utterly random. He wanders into a bar one night and suddenly he's like, "Hey yo, random girl, you wanna support all my ideas maybe? I'll treat your kid good, you know? Hey!" I was really bothered by her character. They needed it because Adrian was gone, but they did that to themselves. My other problem with this movie, Rashad, you did touch on this a little bit. The villain of the film is extremely forgettable. You're more threatened by Rocky's age than his opponent. That's the real villain of this film. Age, time, you know, time running out. The human threat could have been the wrapper of a Snickers bar for all I care. But those two things were my biggest complaints. But overall, it is a great movie and in my personal top 3 of the saga. I scored Rocky Balboa an A-, letter grade, final overall score, 89%, 89 out of 100 possible stars. Definitely solid. I want to thank Rashad for joining me on this review. Cannot wait to tackle the Creed series next. So Rashad, obviously you know what's coming next. What about you guys though? Are you a fan of the Rocky franchise? Where do you rank this among the rest? Let me know. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next series for Rocky, for when I review Creed. We'll put it that way. And until then, peace out.